everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I am super excited to share with all of you a full face of new makeup that I recently hauled and haven't had a chance to film with yet. So I have a lot of great goodies. I have the Clé de Peau Cushion Foundation, the Lisa Eldridge Liquid Eyeshadow, a Pat McGrath Quad, a new Dries Van Noten lipstick, which I'm so excited about. I have two new eyeliners, one from Victoria Beckham and one from Lancome, the Rare Beauty Contour Stick, which is an oldie, but one that I'm excited to finally try out for the first time. And then also the very, very, very expensive Hermes highlighter. So if you are interested in any of those products, then just stick around. So for context, these were actually products I hauled at the end of last year, and I was going to do a last haul of the year video, but didn't really get around to it. So now I'm filming all of these products together. They're actually a few separate hauls. So the Clé de Peau foundation is from my Japan haul, and then the rest of the products are either from Sephora or from Selfridges. So let's start out with that Clé de Peau Cushion Foundation. So this is in two parts because it's a refillable package. So this is the part that comes with the external packaging. So it has this cute little dust cloth. And here is the packaging itself, really pretty. You can see the inside here. And here is the part with the cushion. So this is what that part looks like. And I guess you just open this and push this inside. Yep, it just snaps in really easily. And then here is the little puff, which is kind of a unique shape. It lets you really get around your eyes. So let's dig into this product. So I have this in shade 10, and I bought this, as I mentioned, in Japan. This was actually a product I picked after trying out all of the different Clé de Peau foundations at the counter. So they showed me kind of their really light coverage foundation, their full coverage liquid foundation, and then this one, which was actually the one they most recommended to everyone. So basically this is like kind of dewier than the rest and also more like middle of the road. So it definitely provides more coverage than the light coverage one, but less coverage than the full coverage. So kind of overall a more natural finish. So I'm going to just apply this on half of my face right now. For context, the reason I was interested in this as well is that I've been really liking cushion foundations recently. If you watched my best of 2024 makeup, you know that in particular the Jung Mole cushion foundation has been my ride or die for a while and my most used foundation product because I just find it so easy to apply. And that product is like not cheap, but it's also like fairly affordable, and so I was kind of curious what it would be like to have really a luxury cushion. And let me actually turn down the brightness a bit so you guys can see the color and texture better. And Clé de Peau definitely counts as luxury. Like this is closer to like $100. So I wanted to see how big of a difference it would make to kind of upgrade the price. So here we have it on this side of my face, and this side I don't have anything but skincare. So you can see that overall it's a pretty natural finish. So I would say the Jung Mole is a bit higher coverage on initial application and has a stronger dewiness factor. This one is a little bit more like, you know, your skin but better, but definitely with a bit of sheen. So let me just go back in with a bit more and kind of spread that around. I do find when you first open a cushion, they're super, super juicy. So it's good to really spread around the product a little bit. I will say this one is not as easy to blend as the Jung Mole. Like that one just kind of blends itself when you tap it in. You don't really have to, you know, do additional swipes for blending. I do feel like this is more blendable though than the Tier, which I also tried recently. So it's definitely not hard to blend, just not like super, super crazy fast. Okay, so let me just go in with a little bit more now around the nose area. But overall, I do like this finish, and I feel like, at least on me, this is like the type of finish where I wouldn't have to powder. I do feel like with the Jung Mole, I kind of have to powder. It's very, very dewy, unless I apply a super small amount. This one looks like it's probably going to set on its own pretty well. Alright, so that is pretty nice on initial application. So next up, I'm gonna go into this Rare Beauty contour stick. This is the Best Wishes Effortless Bronzer Stick in the shade Bright Side. If you guys have been watching my videos, you know I actually originally picked up the shade Happy Soul a while back. Here is what the packaging looks like. Actually pretty nice and chic considering the price. And if you guys have been watching my videos, you know that I actually originally picked up the shade Happy Soul and used that in a couple of videos. And I really fell in love with the formula and texture based on that. But I wasn't a huge fan of the shade. It was just a little bit too red for me. And recently I've been really loving the Dior contour stick in the shade Light. That's been my ride or die. And so I wanted to pick something out that's a little bit more similar to this. Like I'd like to film a video comparing the two just to see if this is like a more affordable dupe, because that one is extremely expensive. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But here it is on this side of the face. You can see it blends in super effortlessly, so the name is actually on point. Let me actually give you guys a swatch of this next to the Dior contour stick, because as I mentioned, I want to see how these compare. So the Dior's on the bottom, and you can see that it's actually a lot cooler toned still, even though I think this is the coolest toned shade from the Rare Beauty. Interesting. Okay, so if you want true contour, I would definitely still stick with the Dior. But if you want something a little bit more bronzy, a little bit more peachy, then this Rare Beauty might do the trick. I will say one thing I like about the Rare Beauty is because this is a little bit smaller, it's a little bit easier to get into smaller parts of your face if you're applying the stick directly. So for example, on the nose, you can do it like this a little bit more precisely than if you're using the Dior, which, as you can tell from the swatch as well, is just a little chubbier in terms of the stick. And so for that reason, if you're like not using a brush, but just kind of using your fingers and want to swipe on the product really fast, I think the Rare Beauty shape is a little bit better for that. Like right now, if I'm just going to use my finger on that part, I feel like goes on pretty easily. So I went off camera to do my brows, and for concealer I'm going to go in with my Clé de Peau concealer. This is not at all a new product, but since I have the foundation on, I figured it would be good to kind of keep it in the same brand. So I'm just going to apply a little of that under my eyes and around my nose. I really love this concealer for blemishes in particular. It's like the best concealer I've used for covering up acne, which I have one right on my nose right now, so good for demonstration. But yeah, it's sort of a drier formula, so I find if you're someone who likes to, you know, have a very hydrated under eye, it's not necessarily the best for that, or if you do, you know, just don't add any powder on top. But the dryness does make it really good for blemishes because, you know, you don't want that to kind of slip and slide. You want it to really stay for the whole day. And then for my cheeks, I'm going to put on the Westman Atelier blush in the shade Petal. This is also not new, but I guess I did haul this not that long ago, so I forget if I've shown you guys this on camera. This is a really nice shade from them. It's the one they kind of include most in their sets, but I find it works for most looks. Really kind of pretty, everyday shade. I will say this formula is not my favorite in terms of cream blush. I've been using it a lot recently to test it out, but it applies beautifully on initial application, but it just doesn't really stay on my cheeks throughout the day for some reason. I find that it really fades quite easily. For that reason, I prefer like the Danessa Myricks or even like the Tower 28. Those just have a lot more staying power. But this does look really nice when you first apply it. So now getting into the eyes, I picked up the Lisa Eldridge Liquid Silk Eyeshadow in the shade Irene. I've been really loving the shade Phoebe. I feature that in my best of 2024 video. This is basically a cooler toned version of that. Let me actually give you guys a side-by-side comparison. So this one over here is Irene, this one is Phoebe. And this is Phoebe swatched under Irene. And so if you have my skin tone, I think both of these work. If you have a deeper skin tone, this might be more of a brightening shade. Like neither of these is that deep. Irene especially is quite light, but the main difference between these two is the warmth of Phoebe in comparison to the coolness of Irene. So for today, I'm going to use Irene kind of like an eyeshadow primer, just as an initial shade on the lids, since the Pat McGrath palette I'm using doesn't come with a transition shade. So I'm just going to use my Rephr 33 brush to kind of blend that all over the lid, especially in the crease area. And what I love about this product is it does actually live up to its name. Like, it looks very, very silky on the lids. It kind of has a really nice finish. So when I first saw this release, I wasn't going to pick it up because I thought, wow, how boring, you know, matte liquid eyeshadow. Like, what could it look like that would, you know, justify the price for a single shade? But I have actually really enjoyed this formulation, and especially if you like her liquid Lurex eyeshadows, it's just a great accompaniment. Like, you can put this all over the lids like I'm doing today, and then just like use one of those shimmery shades and apply that with a finger, and then you're good to go. So here it is on the lids. This is definitely a little bit lighter than Phoebe, but has that sort of pinky undertone to it that goes well with quite a wide variety of looks. So now let's get into that Pat McGrath quad. This is Passion Fleur, and this is actually the only Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette I bought last year, which is kind of crazy to me because, you know, I just bought this because it was like $30 on Sephora, and you know, I needed to make my rouge status for the year, which I know is not like the right kind of thinking if you want to save money, but here we are. So it has this pink packaging, and it honestly doesn't look super luxe with the pink packaging. Like, I feel like the black packaging looks more luxe, but this is very cute and different. Like, I don't have anything in her pink packaging. And here are the shades. So these are not like her astral shades. It's more like her normal pressed formula. But I am excited to put these on because it's been so long since I filmed with a Pat McGrath palette. Like, I did a lot of looks with her motherships to film my annual ranking video, but since then I really haven't had an excuse to use her palettes in my videos, and I love Pat McGrath eyeshadows, so very excited to try these out. This is definitely a color story that I feel like is very like Valentine's appropriate. Not really one I gravitate to most of the year, so that's why I didn't pick this up when it first came out. But for $30, I feel like this is hopefully worthwhile. As you can see, it only comes with one matte that's quite deep, so that's why I wanted to set things up with a transition shade. Alrighty, so I'm gonna actually go first into that purple shade and just put this on the outer portion of my eyes. Wow, look at that level of pigmentation. Pat McGrath always delivers on the pigment. It's honestly been a little while since I've done a more colorful makeup look. It's funny, I feel like when this whole like, you know, clean girl, like light makeup without much eyeshadow aesthetic became really popular, I really resisted it for a while because I'm someone who loves colorful eyeshadows and really intricate eye looks. But then by the end of last year, that's kind of all I was doing, just like very, very basic eyeshadow looks. That's why Lisa Eldridge's liquid shadows ended up being my favorite of the year instead of any eyeshadow palette, which honestly was very shocking to me because I never thought I would, you know, not have a favorite eyeshadow palette for a whole year. But I really hope that the pendulum swings back and we get some fun eyeshadow palettes this year because, you know, it's honestly like, to me, a little bit boring at this point to see most of the makeup releases, because like if you're doing really light sheer makeup, everything kind of looks the same after a while. Like, there's really not that much point to like be buying like new products every month, which, I mean, you know, maybe that's a good thing, but like if you're like me, you're a makeup collector, makeup reviewer, you like doing fun looks for your channel, like it's, you know, not the most motivating. So let's see, in terms of these three shades, I guess I'll just put them all on my lids, like one after another. So let me actually start with a brush so it's easier to control. So I'm going to first go in with the light pink shade and dab that on the inner third. So it's actually, yeah, pretty highlighting. So I'm also going to put that kind of in the inner corner a bit as well. In general, this definitely reminds me of the quality of her holiday palettes. So like very good, but like also, you know, not like as exciting as her quads used to be. Like her quads used to have more special effect formulations. Like Voyeuristic Vixen had that really flaky shade. And then I'm going to go into this more mid-tone shade, put this on the center of the lids. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go over this with the finger application as well, because I feel like with the brush, it's definitely not that high impact, which is okay. That's to be expected. But yeah, let me do that now, actually. Let's go in with a finger. Actually, let me bring you guys closer for this eyeshadow portion. But I am kind of sad how I feel like Pat McGrath has sort of been losing her luster. Like, there hasn't been much exciting coming out of her brand for a while. I've heard a lot of speculation in terms of, you know, how much is she still really involved with the creative vision. But whatever the reasons are, it's been very sad because I absolutely love her brand. Alrighty, so that was kind of hard to build up, honestly. It took a few layers, but let's try this last shade. This one actually looks like it might be the funnest shade, so maybe I shouldn't have left this for this part of the eye. But, you know, this is what happens when you're doing this mainly to show off all the shit. The look sometimes is a bit incoherent. But yeah, okay, that one is actually really pretty. Let me now just kind of go in and try to smooth all of this out since these are all kind of a little messy. But yeah, I think if I was doing this look again, I would probably just put this on the lower lash line, this all over the lid, and this as kind of like a highlighter, because this is the only shade that has like quite a lot of twinkle in it. So I made a mistake putting that more on the outer portion of the eye. But I will put that on the lower lash line just so it does have a bit more time to shine. And I'm just applying more of the purple to kind of blend everything together a little bit more. This is reminding me how much I love Pat McGrath shadows in terms of their blendability, because this kind of like deep purple from another brand might not go over well. Okay, for the lower lash line, I'm going to take that deep purple on the outer portion and zhuzh it around. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to take this shinier shade and put it on the rest of the lash line. Alrighty, so here we have the final eyeshadow look. Not my best work, but it's okay, I would say. Yeah, I would say I should definitely do another look with this palette using it the way I just described. This is pretty, but a little bit messy, and I think using this maybe also with like her normal primer might help a bit as well. Since this is my first time using this palette, I'm not sure if part of the issue is putting it on top of the liquid shadow, but definitely the shimmers are not as impactful as I would have hoped from Pat McGrath. So next up I have a couple eyeliners. So I have this Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal eyeliner in the shade Black, and then I also have this Lancome eyeliner, gel eyeliner in the shade Brown. And so I actually was influenced to buy both of these by other influencers. So I feel like Michelle Wong has been raving about the Victoria Beckham eyeliners for a very long time, and Morgan Turner has said a lot of really great things about this Lancome eyeliner. So for today's look, I guess I will first try out this Lancome one, because I've actually tried out the Victoria Beckham on a separate occasion. So let's see how well this Lancome works. Okay, it's a very fine tip, which is great. Though obviously after I use this, I feel like it'll be less fine. This one is less slippy than the Victoria Beckham. That one really like glides on extremely fast and easily. This one has a little bit of drag to it. Though not necessarily a problem. I feel like the Victoria Beckham was maybe a little bit more slippy and slidey than I would prefer because it didn't give me much control. Okay, but yeah, one good thing about this one is I feel like you're able to get a more precise shape to it. It does apply very opaque, unlike a lot of gel eyeliners, which you kind of have to build up the opacity. And at least with it sharpened like this, you can get a decent wing. There we go. Okay, that was actually pretty nice. Let me put some on the lower lash line as well. It'll be interesting to see if this sticks in the waterline. I have a very difficult waterline for eye makeup. Okay, wow, I'm actually really impressed. That looks really good. I feel like with this eyeliner, I don't need a separate liquid eyeliner, which is saying a lot because I pretty much always go in with liquid eyeliner. And let me actually, for the other eye, use the Victoria Beckham, just so you guys can see it side by side, even though these are very different products. So the Victoria Beckham is much thicker for one, so I'm not expecting as crisp of a wing. And as you can see, it is much more slippery, so you get quite a lot of payoff with just a very light hand. So I am being a little bit more careful with this one. I feel like this one is good if you want to smudge out your eyeliner. So the Lancome one seemed much more for like precise placement, whereas this one's more like if you're gonna apply it and then smudge it out afterward. Because as you can see, it's not that precise. For today's look though, to even it out, I'm gonna use this Florist brush to try to like smooth out the Victoria Beckham side so that it looks more precise at least. Like I'm gonna try to pull out this wing. Alrighty, so I think that kind of works. Like hopefully you can't tell that I'm wearing two different eyeliners. I mean, this eye definitely looks cooler tone than this one, but I think they both work. It's interesting because like I said, these have both been highly promoted, but like I feel like they're such different formulas. I think in the future, if I want to do this sort of look, like, you know, as a last step after eyeshadow, the Lancome is a lot better. Like, you know, look just how much more precise this side is. Whereas I think what the Victoria Beckham would be good for is if you're doing more of like the Natasha Denona style of makeup, where you first apply an eyeliner as sort of your deepest shade and then like sort of smudge it out and apply eyeshadows on top of that. I guess Pat McGrath also does that for a lot of her videos too. But I think if you're using that technique, this would be good because this one, it just applies really quickly and then is very, very smudgeable. Whereas this one, I feel like is much more precise and more like a finishing step. So now let's get into the ultra luxurious portion of today's video. So first off, we have the Dries Van Noten lipstick. So I featured one of their lipsticks in my best of 2024 video. I mean, basically a lot of what's in today's haul is like me realizing, hey, if I love these products so much, why not get them in multiple shades? So I have this in their shade Crafted Orange, and this is like a really hot bright orange that also I think is perfect for this lovely refillable packaging that they have. So I wanted to get another one because basically this is my all-time favorite satin lipstick formula right now, which is saying a lot because I've tried like, you know, pretty much every single formulation on the market, and this one just completely blew me away. And so I picked up another one of their lipsticks. So it comes in two different boxes. You can pick, you know, whatever combination you want of case and lipstick. I got the Bad Pink lipstick in their sheer formula because I was really curious, since I love the satin so much, how the sheer compares. And I got this really fun electric green case with leopard print. So yeah, I figured this would be good for that kind of bad pink, hot pink aesthetic. So then you take off the bottom cap and then you just snap it in and it clicks. And then you take off the top cap and inside you have the beautiful bullet. So here's that beautiful fuchsia pink, really, really intense. Not my typical color. In general, Dries Van Noten has very, very intense saturated shades, but I'm very excited about this. So let's get this on the lips. Again, this is the sheer formula, so it does look very different than the other one. You can see just one swipe is not opaque. It does feel nice and moisturizing though on the lips. Has sort of a subtle floral perfumey smell to it. So there we have kind of one swipe on both sides. And here we have it built up. So this is definitely a very different feel on the lips than the Satin lipstick. It is very thin and moisturizing, but also kind of moves around a little bit. So I'm very curious to see what the longevity of this will be, because one thing that I really love about the Satin formula is I feel like it really sticks and, you know, stays throughout the day. But I do like how lightweight this feels and just, you know, how incredibly comfortable it is. Here is what the lipstick looks like, by the way, with both sides attached. This is such a beautiful luxury packaging. I really, really love how they've done this. It's very weighty in the hand. It looks very luxe, and it just also has a very beautiful luxe feeling formula. So I'm excited to continue testing this out and see, you know, between the Satin and the sheer, which one I like more, because I've been thinking about doing a luxury lipstick ranking. Let me know if you guys would be interested. I have around like 20 luxury lipstick formulas, and I feel like, you know, they're all a splurge. So it's like really helpful to be able to know the similarities and differences. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that. So moving right along, let's get now into the finale of today's video, which is this crazy, crazy expensive Hermes 24 Faubourg, probably very much mispronouncing that, a highlighter. So this is an over $100 highlighter. I think this was like around $120 when you include like tax and stuff. So yeah, the most expensive highlighter by far in my entire collection. Let's open this box. Ooh, and it does come with this gorgeous Hermes box. So yes, I will definitely be keeping this because this is, you know, part of where all of that money went. And then the highlighter just slides out like this. The packaging is really pretty. I'll give it to them that this sort of brushed brass looks really luxe. I do have their bronzer as well, which is kind of similar to this in packaging. I do really love that bronzer. And then this is a magnetized enclosure. And here we have the gorgeous highlighter. Wow. Okay, this is really pretty. It's like a baked formula, so it definitely looks very luxe as well. Nice and rose gold. I hate like having to swatch this. So in terms of why I picked this up, so I was looking at this for a long time. I honestly haven't been wearing much highlighter for the past year as part of the, you know, more like natural makeup aesthetic. But what made me finally cave is I just love that little figure in the corner with the little tricorn hat. So I've been really in love with Rosa Versailles lately, and the main character, Oscar, is a military officer during the French Revolution. So she does sometimes wear a tricorn hat, and she's always on a horse. So that kind of reminded me of her. So that's kind of what tipped me over the edge, that and all of the positive reviews I saw. Yeah, did I need this? Definitely not. Can any highlighter really be worth this much money? Probably not, but let me give you guys a really light swatch because I don't want to mess up this embossment because I'm paying a lot for that. This is what that looks like. Let me put it on my arm so you can see as well. It's pretty nice. Like, I was a little worried that it might be a little bit deep based on some of the other videos I saw, but I feel like it actually looks like it'll be totally fine for my skin tone and probably work really well for medium skin tones too, because it's like, you know, a little bit deep on my skin tone, but would be like perfect for a slightly deeper skin tone. But for highlighter, of course, it's going to be a light application anyway. So I'm going to just take a very light brush to start and just take a little bit of this and sweep it on my cheek. So I know I did powder down my face before this because I figured that would give this the best shot. Let's see, okay, that was pretty light. I feel like, can you actually see much of a difference? Let me add a little bit more. I feel like my cheek already looks really dewy from the fact that the foundation has a dewy finish and then the Westman Atelier also does. But yeah, I think that just adds some nice additional shine to the cheeks. I like that it's like actually a little bit more on the natural side because, as I mentioned, I haven't been really into highlighter the past year. So this is more up my alley. So I'm going to take some on the other side too and just sweep that on. I mean, I'm also using a very lightweight brush, so that's kind of further making it such that this effect is very subtle, but that's very nice. Ooh. Okay, I can definitely see it on this side. All right. That's really pretty, actually. Really lovely rose gold that I feel like will be flattering for a lot of folks. All right, yeah, let me know if you'd be interested in a dedicated video on this with like, you know, a ton of comparison swatches, because, you know, I don't think this one demo is really enough to evaluate whether this is worth the price. But certainly in terms of like just how beautiful this is and how luxurious it feels, I would definitely give it high marks for its initial impression. Like I said, I don't think it's, you know, like really like a necessity or anything that you can't get for a lower price, but the experience is very nice, and it does actually look even more beautiful in person than I anticipated. And I feel like this looks really nice for just kind of a natural glow to the skin. So zooming you guys out, here we have the final look. What do you guys think? Overall, I am very pleased with everything that I tried in today's haul. So I feel like the Clé de Peau foundation is looking really beautiful on the skin. I feel like it played very well with my Cocondo powder as well, so that's great. I mean, that powder works with everything, but just, you know, nice to be assured of that. For the Rare Beauty, I think that shade worked really well for me. Like I said, I already knew that I loved the formula. It was just a matter of getting a less reddish shade, and I think this Bright Side shade looks really nice. It's that perfect mix of kind of like bronzer and contour, so that's really what I've been going for, especially in these winter months. In terms of the eyeshadow palette, it's like a like, not love. I mean, I think if I had never tried Pat McGrath eyeshadows, I'd be way more impressed. Since, you know, I have high expectations for her eyeshadows, this is kind of like in line with those expectations, but nothing like super special. Could I get this look with like my Mothership palettes? Oh yeah, certainly. You know, these are some of the most common shades she puts in her palettes. So side note, yeah, if you are interested in like a video kind of trying to replicate this with Pat McGrath Motherships, let me know. I'm happy to film that as well, like for some sort of like Valentine's Day look. But yeah, this is definitely not like that unique as far as Pat McGrath goes, but still a very nice look and very high quality eyeshadows. In terms of the eyeliner, I would say I'm very impressed with the Lancome on initial impression, because like I don't expect to be able to get like this much precision with a gel liner. That's just something I normally reserve for my liquid liners, and so I'll have to keep playing around with this to see if this will actually replace liquid liner for me, but it looks really great on initial impression at least. For the Victoria Beckham, this is something where I think I need to like try a different makeup technique, because I feel like finishing off a look with this is not like the best way to do it. As I mentioned, I feel like this is better if you want to use this as a base for a smoky eye and really smudge it out. So that's something I don't normally do, but I feel like I should try it out that way, because it is just much more of a smudgy liner rather than a kind of like precise liner. In terms of the lipstick, I'm really loving how it feels so far on the lips. Super hydrating, and I feel like it really hides the look of my lip lines too. That's something I loved about the Satin formula as well, but really lovely feel on the lips. This shade is one that I probably won't gravitate towards a lot. I mean, I think it's perfect for, you know, its name, like Bad Pink. It definitely has a very fun kind of punk element to it. I know today, you know, I have it with a very feminine outfit, but yeah, I feel like this would be fun with something a little bit more grungy and smoky as well. The only thing, as I mentioned, that I'm like not sure about with this formula is whether it will migrate during the day, because it definitely feels more slippy than the Satin formula. So I have to keep you guys updated on that. But so far, that's not been an issue. So far, it does feel like it's like settled into the lips, and so I'm hoping it has that longevity. Oh, and I forgot to mention in terms of the Lisa Eldridge liquid shadow, this is actually my first time using it as a base for then like such a complicated powder eyeshadow look, and I would say like using it in this way was like okay, but not like really great. I think I would still just prefer to use my normal eyeshadow primer and then a powder transition shade. But this did fine. It was not great, but also like not bad for that kind of use case. But I still primarily love this for more of a one and done look where you put this on and then just like, you know, with a finger tap on something that's much more shimmery on top. But I do really like that shade. I feel like the shade Irene is much more versatile for my skin tone, since Phoebe can sometimes run just a little bit too yellowy and warm. Finally, in terms of the highlighter, I really like it on initial impression. Like maybe this will kind of encourage me to break out highlighter more, and especially now when I angle my face, I can definitely see, you know, I actually applied a decent amount, so it is like, you know, pretty intense. But I feel like it's intense in still kind of a natural way. It really blends seamlessly into the skin. So I am a fan of this on initial impressions. So that's it for today's video. I would love to hear in the comments if you guys have tried any of these products, what you think about them. And if you're interested in dedicated videos on any of these products, please let me know as well, because I feel like it's been kind of a while since I filmed a dedicated video, like really going in depth into a product. So let me know if there's certain products that you would prefer that kind of like really in-depth analysis of. And if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!